The ship's log ends on November 24th, 1872. The handwriting belongs to Captain Benjamin Briggs. The position noted, approximately 100 miles west of the Azores. Wind direction, sea state. Course, a routine entry written in a steady hand. Below it, nothing. 10 days later, the brigantine Mary Celeste was found sailing herself northeast through the Atlantic. Sails partially set, cargo intact, the ship's compass knocked from its housing. The single lifeboat, gone. All 10 people aboard, the captain, his wife, their 2-year-old daughter, and 7 crew members, gone. No body was ever recovered. No distress signal was ever recorded. The lifeboat was never found. The last human action documented aboard that ship was someone writing a date in a logbook, setting it down, and walking away from it. The record ends there. Everything that follows is the space where an explanation should be. Benjamin Spooner Briggs was 37 years old, an experienced sea captain who had commanded multiple vessels and was known by maritime contemporaries as rigorous, sober, and devout. He did not drink. His ship carried no alcohol for the crew. On November 7th, 1872, 3 days before the Mary Celeste departed New York, he wrote a letter to his mother. That letter has been preserved and cited in multiple published accounts of the case. In it, he described the voyage ahead as promising, called his assembled crew a peaceable set, and noted the ship was in fine order. He brought his wife Sarah and their daughter Sophia, age 2, aboard for the crossing. His older son Arthur was left behind with relatives in Massachusetts. The letter reads, from beginning to end, like a man who expected to arrive. Oliver Deveau was first mate aboard the Dei Gratia, the ship that found the Mary Celeste on December 4th. It was Deveau who boarded her first, who surveyed the hold, who found between 3 and 4 feet of water standing in it, and who sailed the abandoned vessel into Gibraltar. At the official inquiry, Deveau testified under oath. His account of the ship's compass differed in a documented way from what the subsequent salvage survey recorded. Deveau describing the instrument as destroyed, the survey describing it as damaged. Both documents remain in the record. Neither explains the other. Solly Flood, Attorney General of Gibraltar, ran the inquiry and believed from the outset that violence had occurred. He had a sword retrieved from beneath Captain Briggs' bunk, yet he documented reddish-brown stains on the deck near the bow. He commissioned a chemical analysis from Dr. J. Patron. Patron's written finding was unambiguous. The stains were not blood. The sword carried no blood. Flood's official position did not change. I have read this case long enough that I no longer know what to make of the letter Briggs wrote to his mother. Whether he was a man reassuring a worried parent, or a man genuinely at ease with what lay ahead, that distinction matters to me. The record does not allow certainty about which one he was, and I am not sure it ever will. The cargo was the center of the first serious investigation. The Mary Celeste carried 1,701 barrels of denatured industrial alcohol, bound for a consignee in Genoa. When the ship arrived in Genoa under the care of the Dei Gratia salvage crew, yet investigators examined the hold. 9 barrels were empty. The remaining 1,692 were sealed and intact. The theory that maritime historians, including MacDonald Hastings, analyzed most carefully holds that a buildup of alcohol vapor in the hold produced a pressure event. Not a fire, not a full explosion, but a sudden, forceful release, a roar from below decks, the forward hatch blown open, possibly the sensation of the ship shuddering beneath the crew's feet. Under this reading, Captain Briggs, trained to respond to the smell of gas, and the sound of a pressure event, ordered immediate evacuation. The crew boarded the single lifeboat. They tied off to the Mary Celeste with a line, intending to reboard when the danger passed. The line snapped. The Mary Celeste sailed on. The crew drifted until they did not. And this theory accounts for the ship's condition. No fire damage, no flooding, no sign of struggle. It accounts for the haste. Personal items left mid-use, food preparation abandoned. The 9 empty barrels were red oak. The 1,692 sealed barrels were white oak. Red oak is significantly more porous. It is the type most prone to slow vapor leakage through the staves, not through a pressure event, but through ordinary seepage across days and weeks. If the 9 red oak barrels had been leaking vapor gradually throughout the voyage, there would have been no sudden explosion, no roar, no catastrophic event to justify abandoning a sound ship in open ocean. The vapor would have dissipated slowly, diffusely, into a ventilated hold. The forward hatch cover was found off its housing in every account. Yet the official record does not document who removed it, from which direction, or when. Solly Flood's documented theory was the one that carried official authority the longest, and it was the darkest one. Flood argued that the crew of the Dei Gratia had conspired to seize the Mary Celeste, to disappear her 10 occupants, stage the abandonment, and then discover the vessel to collect salvage money. The financial motive was documented and real. Under Admiralty salvage law, as it existed in 1872, the crew of a rescuing ship received a proportion of the recovered vessel and cargo's value. The Mary Celeste and her cargo represented a substantial documented sum. DeVoe and his men stood to benefit directly. Flood's physical case rested on the stains, the sword, and what he described as cuts on the bow railing. When he submitted multiple reports to his superiors in London, arguing the physical evidence pointed to violence. Dr. Patron's chemical analysis was explicit in its written findings. The stains were not blood. The sword carried no blood. The cuts in the railing were consistent with ordinary wear on a working vessel. The inquiry awarded the Dei Gratia crew salvage, but at a fraction of what standard Admiralty salvage law would have provided. The court produced no written explanation for the reduction. The timeline fractures this theory against itself. For the crew to have staged the abandonment, they needed to locate the Mary Celeste at sea across hundreds of miles of open Atlantic, board her, dispose of 10 people, including a 2-year-old child, transfer back to their own ship, and resume their course without a single logged deviation, or any witness account, or any surviving physical evidence. Dr. Patron's analysis removed the only physical basis Flood had documented. What remains is the reduced salvage award, unexplained, in the official record to this day. If you have followed this evidence to this point and felt the ground become less solid than you expected, that is the correct response to this documentation. The third documented line of investigation focuses on what may have happened aboard the ship itself in the days following that final log entry. The Azores region sits above and active fault lines. Some researchers who have reviewed shipping logs from vessels in the same general area during late November 1872 have pointed to the possibility of a seaquake, an underwater seismic event capable of producing sudden, violent wave action at the surface with little warning and no directional pattern. A ship in a seaquake-generated confused sea, where wave patterns arrive from multiple directions simultaneously, can behave as though it is breaking apart, even when structurally sound. Under this reconstruction, Briggs may have ordered evacuation not from an explosion, but from the sea itself, from the experience of a ship that felt like it was going under. The last log entry recorded no alarming sea state, but the missing instruments are where this theory collapses against the documented record. The sextant and chronometer, the navigational tools essential to oceanic position finding, were not aboard the Mary Celeste when DeVoe surveyed her. Both items are confirmed absent in the salvage documentation. Both are small enough to carry. Met in a genuine panic evacuation, a crew scrambling for survival. Navigational instruments are not the first things a person grabs. Their confirmed absence from the ship means someone made a deliberate choice. Someone selected them specifically before leaving. The instruments have not appeared in any subsequent inventory, any sale record, any documented collection. They are confirmed missing in the official record, and the documentation stops there. Here is what the most widely circulated accounts of this case tend to omit. Captain Benjamin Briggs and Captain David Reed Morehouse, the man who commanded the Dei Gratia, the ship that found the Mary Celeste, knew each other. They were not strangers connected, only by the accident of proximity at sea. In the days before both ships departed New York, they had dined together. This is documented in published accounts of the Inquirators and has been referenced in maritime historical research, including MacDonald Hastings' 1972 study of the case. The two captains shared a meal in New York Harbor. Then the Mary Celeste departed. 8 days later, the Dei Gratia followed. Both ships were traveling toward the same destination, Gibraltar, and beyond it, the Mediterranean. Both left the same port. The Dei Gratia was carrying a smaller, less valuable cargo than the Mary Celeste. It found the abandoned ship not somewhere improbable, but on the route that both vessels were navigating. None of that makes Morehouse guilty of anything. The documented record does not establish conspiracy. Flood tried to build that case, and the physical evidence would not hold it. What the documented record does establish, and what sits in that record without resolution, is that the man who stood to profit financially from finding the Mary Celeste had recently shared a meal with the man who vanished from it. The inquiry noted the acquaintance. It did not pursue it. No official document explains why that specific line of investigation was not followed further. That documented gap, not a theory, not an accusation, an absence of investigation that is itself on the record, is the detail that I find most resistant to clean resolution. There are facts here that no one with documented authority chose to follow. Most accounts of this case do not reach them. The official inquiry at Gibraltar closed without a verdict. No cause for the abandonment was ever formally recorded. The fate of Benjamin Briggs, Sarah Briggs, the Sophia Briggs, and the 7 crew members is classified in the legal and maritime record as unknown. Not presumed, not concluded, unknown. That word appears in the documentation and has not been amended in the century and a half since. The navigational instruments are missing. The lifeboat is missing. The 10 people are missing. The record confirms each absence by name. I have read this case more times than I can account for. What remains with me is the letter, a peaceable set. He chose those words 3 days before he sailed. Whatever he walked into, accident, catastrophe, or something 2 official bodies declined to examine too closely, he did not see it coming. The record makes that plain, and the record is all I have. But the choice this case leaves you with is a specific one. Either 10 people died by accident, and every investigative failure that followed was incompetence, or something was protected, and the protection was deliberate. Neither position closes the wound. The handwriting in the ship's log is still there. The date is still November 24th, 1872. The space below it has not changed.